Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Nazi, thank you. It's preseason. You missed my joke, so I'll do it again. The Calgary Flames are reached. Sure, that wasn't the BC Lions taking on the Calgary Stampeders. A touchdown and a rouge to a rouge. That was funnier the first time. It's preseason for everyone here, and thank God it is, because the Calgary Flames lose an ugly one by a final score of 8-1. Welcome to Game Over, your source for fan-focused, engaging entertainment. And hey, maybe we can be a little bit more engaged with our fans than the Calgary Flames were with that game of hockey. God, they look uninterested at times, but oh boy, a veteran-filled lineup for the Calgary Flames, and you couldn't tell. Maybe we need less maintenance days and more practices here for your Calgary Flames. As we usually do, we'll go through this one day by day, or play by play rather. But first, I said it was a veteran lineup. Joel Farabee, Nazem Kadri, Igor Sharangovich, your top line to start today. That line didn't stay together very long. Hey, when you lose you're losing 6-2, or 6-1 rather. Halfway through the second period, I don't think there's a lot of reason to keep your lines together. Jonathan Huberdeau, Morgan Frost, Matt Coronado. Then a guy that's really pushing to be on that opening night roster. And hey, with some injuries ahead of him, Matt Gridden, or however we're going to say his name going through this season. On the line with Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman. We'll have thoughts on that line later. Then Connor Zary, Rory Cairns, and Martin Pospisil. Joel Hanley, Mackenzie Weegar, Kevin Ball, Rasmus Anderson, Zane Perek, Braden Pahal, Rosvetov and Cooley, and we saw both of them, and oh boy, did we ever. Let's start with the first goal. It's Brock Besser on a kind of a jailbreak where he gets off the bench. He's in behind the two Flames D-men. And you never want to say that a player that's fighting for a job needs to be better. But when you are the forward covering for your D-man, you can't just leave that spot at the point, Rory Cairns, especially when you're battling for a job. He lets Besser get in behind him as he's covering at the point for, I believe it might have been Ball who was pinching in on the play. No, it was Rasmus. Just your, to a lot of people's number one defenseman who's pinching in too far on the play, and your young rookie wants to go score some goals, prove that he belongs in the NHL, and that's a pure goal scorer in behind him. Flames go down 1-0. Take a penalty here in the middle of the second. Kevin Ball interference. So one of your better defensive defensemen in the bin. And just some nifty passing. And hey, is Elias Peterson back? Maybe that's the thing we need to be talking about here. But can we just quickly, I'll get the Game Over Vancouver stuff and we can pretend that we actually like this game. Assist to Hughes and Garland. Just, you're missing Kevin Ball. So you have Braden Pahal out there. And it was kind of, let's get it to Petey and see how quickly he can shoot that puck. And again, it's Rasmus just unable to get out to Peterson to box him down. And very quickly to pass Preseason. I'm not talking about the time. Then it's a face-off play. Archdeep Baines, somebody who's battling for a job in Vancouver. We saw him a few times. Wins it back to Chaos Giraffe and bounces off Pahal and past Preseason. 3-1. You want your goalie to have those. And then a shorthanded goal for the goal scorer of all goal scorers, Calgary Flames legend, Derek Fortport. Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever be saying that sentence in my entire life. Derek Fortport's shorthanded goal as you saw Garland chip it around, or Bluger chip it around Zane Parekh, and they were off to the races. Another raw point for Zane Parekh. And I've been so negative about 2 defenseman power plays, but gosh darn it, you need a second defenseman out there if you're going to have Zane Parekh. And you did. You had Rasmus Anderson out there with him. Didn't matter. Short-handed goal. Derek Fortport. 4-0. This is fine. Everything is fine. The Flames have a veteran lineup. This is what we want, right? That shouldn't be Hunter Brustevich. Let's send him down to the minors. Right? Okay. Joel Farabee, the lone bright spot in this game, and some nifty passing from his 2 line mates. That's Igor Sharangovich and Nazem Kadri. And Farabee kind of just tucks home the loose rebound, battling in front of the Canucks goaltender today. Yeah, made Kevin Lankinen looks like a friggin' Vezina winner, as the Flames do. Sorry, I just got... Of course, you order food thinking you'll be able to eat it during the 3rd period, and it doesn't arrive until when you're doing the post-game show. Gotta message my partner that it's here. All right. So we're halfway there. The 8 goals interrupted by the 8 Vancouver goals interrupted by the 1 from the Flames. Max Saison, who, according to the Vancouver commentators, who were for some reason on the Sportsnet feed instead of the Flames ones, I don't know, just puts his Cooley's first shot he sees. Or no, that was the last goal. Was that the last goal for Preseason? Is the NHL website incorrect here? No, that was Preseason on there. Oh boy. And I'm looking at the visualizer because I was kind of tuned out at this point. Vancouver looks like they have like 7 or 8 guys on the ice, just lazy changing behind. But again, never gonna call that in an actual NHL game. Don't call it in a preseason. But again, it's just 91-17-86. Joel Farabee doesn't back check hard enough, and Saison just cuts right through the pairing of Parekh, who is out there with a guy who I think is going to be a little bit more targeted by myself this year. Braden Pahal. All not a good night. Also not a good night for his partner. Yeah, that's a little ugly, that -4 next to Zane Parech's name. Well, no, plus minus is a terrible stat, but when it's out like that, it certainly says something about the game. And then, of course, we saw Atu Rati, his 2nd of the preseason. The first shot faced by Devin Cooley. Nice little wrister. Beats another guy who thinks he should be the Flames' backup this year. Flames down 6-1 heading out of the 2nd period. I'll be kind of quick on these last 2 because just terrible play by Mackenzie Weegar leads to a 3-on-1. Can only do so much if you are the defense pairing there. Joel Hanley, who did stop a goal earlier in the period, got down, blocked it, shattered his stick in 2, so there's a plus for a guy I thought doesn't deserve to be a Calgary Flame to start the season. And then Max Saison with another shorthanded goal. I saw this coming about a mile away as soon as Baines was away. And that makes it 8-1. Is there anything that Flames coaching staff can take away from this game? Maybe it's that Zane Parekh is just not ready. And of course, we saw a couple injuries that I'll also mention here. Martin Pospisil did not play a single shift in the third period. And obviously, we had a scary looking situation with Jonathan Huberdeau being checked into the goaltender by Filip Hronek. And he looked a little wobbly, ladies and gentlemen. I also hit my head today, so things me and Jonathan Huberdeau have in common, I guess. Yeah, mine was helping a friend move a deep freeze. So a lot less, how you say, interesting. Anyways. So that's where we are at the end of the night. As I said, there's some ugly outliers here on the stat sheet tonight. A couple guys trying to make the team, not putting out their best effort. In 10 minutes and 2 seconds time on ice, Rory Cairns managed to be a -3. Yikes. Rory, I think you've been really good all preseason. That was not your best performance, and it might cost you. That's the way it's going to be, and I don't know, maybe there's a few extra open forward spots if this Huberdeau impact does turn into be a larger injury, or Martin Pospisil only played 5 minutes 25 seconds tonight. If his injury sticks into the first 12 games or so, maybe you have a roster spot there to win just because of somebody else not being able to play hockey. But that's not how you want to win a spot when you're in training camp with the Calgary Flames. Huberdeau -1, Frost -2, Sharangovich -2, Gridden -2, Anderson -3, Parekh -4. Ugly. Ugly up and down the roster. But the ugliest was in between the pipes. 4 saves on 7 shot attempts. That is embarrassing for Devin Cooley. This was a guy I was pushing for to be the backup since about, I don't know, midway through last season, when I was saying that Dan Vladar maybe needs to find greener pastures before we lose him to free agency like we did. Not good enough. 14 saves on 19 shots from Preseason. Hey, you're up a man. Why are you letting 2 shorthanded goals? Or no, he only had the one. The second shorthanded goal against was on Cooley. 737 save percentage for Preseason. 571 for Devin Cooley. I've seen early season MLB stats better than that. Yeah, 571 will get you into the Hall of Fame in baseball. Not when you're a goaltender. Did the team play good in front of them? No. They did not get any help from those 12 forwards. Well, let's call it 11 because Pospisil played a period. And the 6 D-men in front of them. Holy stinker. You know when I have the James Myrtle tab up of every waiver wire player from the last 24 hours to look if there's a goalie we can claim? That's how bad it is, folks. I don't think Phoenix Copley is the one saving this team. Remember when he was the next big thing in goaltending, by the way, or is that just me? Hey, maybe we need to bring back Glenn Godden, who was put on waivers by the LA Kings. What about Nathan Bolduc? Is he going to save this season? Well, let's look for some other former Flames. Who can we claim off waivers that we remember in this city? Oh, Jacob Peltier. That's a guy I know. Let's claim. Is he? Can we put him in net? asking for a friend. Dear Lord. I guess this brings me into the second period. Remember, folks, that we are looking for new sponsors for this Game Over Calgary program. And I swear I'll probably have more positive takes than I did today. Hey, I might even bring that guy Peter Klein back at some point in this season to share in my misery if this is how it's going to go. I'm just reading through some X posts and some blue skies, and everyone's looking to that waiver wire just like I talked about. Because, let's talk a little bit about some guys the Flames put on the waiver wire and went through their cuts. Does that happen between the last two games? So let's talk about some of the guys they sent down to the dub or released back to their, or put them on waivers. Hunter Stevich sent down, as I said, I don't agree with that. I think he was better than young man Zane Parekh for most of the offseason. Or preseason, rather. With the exception of the rookie camp. But who puts faith in a rookie camp? So they're saying give him a little bit more seasoning. Can't say I necessarily overly disagree with that one. Nick Cicek, Artem Grushnikov, they sent back down, and as I said, they're a little bit down lower on the roster. Sam Honzek, he went back down. As I said, he kind of been a ghost all preseason. Remember, he had that hot start in the preseason last year, then gets hurt and never made it back to the show. Owen Say, who I think may have been our best backup goaltending option, and that's after his season out of college, so. William Stromgren also sent down. Adar Suniev sent down, not requiring waivers. The four players that did get sent down that required waivers: Clark Bishop, Dryden Hunt, Yan Kuznetsov, and Sam Morton. I think the only one that could maybe get a look is being Yan Kuznetsov. Boy. I don't think any of those guys are necessarily going to make this team better outside of Brustevich, in my opinion. That can't be why we stunk up the joint today. Seeing KQ here saying go with the Russian. Go with a guy who had a 757 save percentage. KQ, that's not where we want to be, my friend. And hey, as I said, the Flames are in a good spot because they aren't playing the full Dustin Wolf contract extension yet. And hey, we know this team has room under the salary cap. Guys that I've seen, DiPietro's name's been thrown around, has been very good. Hey, Vancouver may be forced to waive a very good goaltender unless they intend on carrying 3. Is this the way Craig Conroy needs to go about things if neither of these guys are going to say that they deserve to be that second stringer? As of this game, you can't say that either one of them deserves to be an NHL goaltender. And KQ, I'm not disagreeing with you, to be fair. I am disagreeing with you. We're going to have a conversation. But time is running out. You are right. I think the option is keep neither. Because if we look at Preseason through the preseason, it's not been pretty. Let's look at this. No, they don't have it on here. So let's go through Preseason's numbers with the Coyotes and the Avalanche. This guy has never, in the NHL, had a goals against average below 3.16. That was in 11 games behind the 2023-2024 Colorado Avalanche. And if you remember, they got some guy named Cale Makar playing on that team. And a very, very sound defensive number. He had an .895 that year. That is not an NHL goaltender. I understand he went back to the KHL and had mind-boggling numbers. But he's never done it in the NHL. Okay, for the birdie over here that's saying, it's a limited sample size. Yeah, sure. Okay? You're a backup goaltender in the NHL. You get, so let's say it's Mika Kiprasov numbers. Kiprasov's going to play 62 games. So that leaves you 20 games a season to make your mark. 22 next year. So let's look at this Avalanche season where he went 8-4-3. Or no, rather, sorry. He played 11 games, started 8, went 4-3-1. You can't have a goals against if you're going to be an NHL backup starting with 3. And a save percentage under 900. He's never posted a save percentage that starts with a 9. And he played behind, as I said, a very, very good Colorado Avalanche squad. And then we'll look at the one season of stats, and it's for Devin Cooley, and I'll say the exact opposite. His numbers were in a brutal San Jose Sharks in 23-24. 6 starts, 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 overtime loss. Goals against average, nearly a 5. Yeah. And for anyone that watched the Wranglers last season, he was hotter than a pistol to start. But then we saw those numbers come down to earth real quick. And that's in the AHL. Not the NHL. If I get superpowers to replace my brain and put it in Craig Conroy's head, I'm telling both these guys, you're in the AHL. We're going to go find someone on the waiver wire. Okay? Do the Calgary Flames have 2 of the greatest goal scorers in the history of this sport playing on their forward lines? Where you can outscore your problems 9 times out of 10. If so, point to them. 2 generational goal scorers who score at will whenever the other team takes a penalty. That's the difference why Stuart Skinner is allowed to be a starting goaltender with those numbers. And hey, they pay for what they get in Edmonton because they have no money to allocate to the defense or to the goaltenders because they've got that egghead taking an exorbitant salary, and then they're going to spend $1 bajillion keeping Connor McDavid in town. So let's take that outlier out of the situation. Let's see. You're not the only one. As some guy that talks about the farm flamer or something, he posted a GIF of what Dan Vladar must be doing today. About, I can't remember which laughing emoji GIF he used. Oh, with Seinfeld. That fits Boomer's age range. But, like, oh boy. So let's look, because Robert Munch, the Ring of Fire Calgary, did take kind of a dive around some guys that could be on waivers. Michael DiPietro out of Boston. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. I think he's probably one of those guys who is that, as they say, quadruple A, where he's too good for the AHL but not necessarily good enough for the NHL. And he might just be out of the shuffle just because there's too many guys making too much money that they can't send on waivers. Nico Dawes out of New Jersey. He's a guy that's kind of bounced around and been that furlong backup. I think a Laurent Brossoit in that way. Oh, God, what I wouldn't give for Laurent Brossoit right now. Oh, Robert, why did you put this man's name on this list? I don't think he's actually going to go to waivers because I think he's going to solidify that backup role in New York. Big Save Dave. I'd be okay without the return of Big Save Dave. Capo Kakinen might not cut it in Montreal. You might see his name on waivers. And then one of Ville Husso or Peter Mrazek is going to be on waivers out of Anaheim. And as I said, the Canucks, they may choose to ride 3 for the start of the year. And I'd have to say, as soon as one of their guys goes on waivers, Connie's got to be on it like that. If we look at who the backup was today for the Canucks, if Tolopilo, actually I think he's waiver exempt. Not entirely sure. But I was looking at it earlier. Next. Hold on, folks, as I don't have the mind like a steel trap like guys like Mike Gould necessarily have for who the team's third goalie is. And what their salary contract and... Because, yeah, I think Tolopilo may have to go through waivers. Let's do some Googling together, friends. Tolopilo waivers status. Nope, he is waiver exempt. Heck. They had a goalie that had to go through waivers. Maybe it's people thinking that they're going to keep Tolopilo and Demko, and then Lankinen would go on waivers. Maybe that's the rumors that I'm remembering. Hey, I'd kill for the Kevin Lankinen we played against today. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to have that situation where I think their second best goalie in the system is going to be sticking in the system just due to contract. Abid. That's fair. Welcome to the show, buddy. Oh, but I still can't believe we got beat shorthanded by Derek Fortborn. Like, does anybody remember him when he was that trade deadline acquisition by the Calgary Flames? Didn't we pick him up from Chicago for that playoff run? Or am I being crazy when I remember that? No, it was out of LA that we picked him up. Good old 7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, -1 as a Calgary Flame. Ugh. And I'm just on the lookout. It sounds like we are going to see Big Save Dave not go on waivers, because it sounds like Semyon Varlamov's career might be over in New York, so they might have to keep Big Save Dave. And I'm just going to look over a few things here. When Eric Francis says you've had an embarrassing night, the guy that is the biggest homer of all time, to the point where he's run people out of town, says it's embarrassing. Yeah. Or no, is that the 23, 24? Maybe I'm getting seasons mixed up. Yeah, it does seem like a long time since the Flames have been in the playoffs. Ugh. Worst thing that could happen to us this year is a great start, and we start thinking about keeping Anderson and adding before the deadline. Yeah, and you're saying it's looking pretty unlikely? I say it. Gavin McKenna, he is coming home. Even though my housemate seems to think he's going to go to some team in Pittsburgh because they can't survive in that market without a generational superstar. But let's head to period number 3. Because unless those injuries are medium to long term, let's schmedium, if you will, the Flames might have a less interesting situation to end the preseason than we thought. Because I think we may have seen the last game in a Flames uniform for a few of those 7th D men I consistently talk about. Guys like Daniil Maramanov, I think him not dressing in this game is kind of a statement that Joel Hanley is going to be in that second pairing, and maybe we'll see Miramanov play one more game to see if he can beat out Braden Pahal for that last spot. Boy, oh boy, Zane Parekh looked human today, and that's not something I've really said of that young man a whole lot in his short stint with the Calgary Flames. I also wonder about guys like Jake Bean. So let's do this. Let's go through this opening night / last game of preseason thoughts. Because we got one more game, so maybe I'm a little bit premature with this, but who knows? After a season like this, or at a pregame like this, maybe Craig Conrad says, Rasmus, we got to get you out of here sooner than later, so we don't diminish your numbers. So Rasmus Anderson at this point penned in. Kevin Ball penned in. As much as I hate to say it, I think Joel Hanley's name is on this roster with Penn. Let's 3. Kenzie Weegar. So there's your top 4 guys. We'll probably see the Weegar and Joel Hanley line that Willsy will gush about their plus 11 and plus 14 plus minus. Terrible stat. So that leaves 2 spots for Ilya Solovyov, Zane Parekh, Daniil Maramanov, and Jake Bean. I'm going to go back to something we said a lot last year. And we finally did it, and we finally started seeing results in the last quarter of the season. Let the kids play. Jake Bean might be a hometown kid from Calgary, Alberta. He can really like some Saddle Dome popcorn. Or he can go play 82 games with the Wranglers. I know where I'd have him. Daniil Maramanov, hey, go get claimed on waivers, buddy. Maybe Dallas believes in you again. That would leave us with Rasmus, Ball, Hanley, Pahal, Parekh, Solovyov, Weegar. That's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Jake Bean's dad will get him onto the squad. What is this? The Calgary Canucks? Actually, no. I have to say, Riley Bracco, if you're watching this, congratulations on your captaincy. 3 wins, 1 loss. AJHL and Centennial Cup champions back on track. Love you, Riley. So that's their 7 guys to me. And Daniil Marimanov, go play your butt off with the Wranglers. Find yourself some greener pastures, maybe. Craig Conrad's got lots of numbers in those phones. What I wouldn't give to have, like, you remember back in NHL when you had to have the different Blackberries? I would love to see all Craig Conroy's Blackberries lined up right now, because I'm sure he's getting a few calls. So then I think it's a pretty simple look at the forwards here. Backlund in pen for the next 3 years. Blake Coleman. Yeah, he's probably going to play until his legs give out, which might happen this year. Matt Coronado. His name's in pen. Joel Farabee, pen. Morgan Frost, pen. Matt Vague-Ridden. Okay, here comes the spicy take. Get Matt Vague-Ridden on the game one roster. Hey, if Jonathan Huberdeau, if he's out, I'd love to see Gridden play on his off wing. Put him on that first line left wing. Put a sniper up there with Nazem Kadri and whoever you want to play on the right in that line. Maybe it's Adam Klapka. I don't know. Or hey, maybe play him on his natural wing. Oh, no. I know what line I want to see. That take is as spicy as ketchup. Okay. Top line, Matt Vague-Ridden with Nazem Kadri and Matt Coronado. I can tell, going back to my brain in the NHL lineup days, I'd have zero chemistry because that's a sniper, and a two-way forward. But when your box is as full of broken puzzle pieces as this Calgary Flames roster is, maybe you have to take the chemistry negativity. Who knows? Maybe I'm crazy. And of course, Gridden would have to play on his off wing, or Coronado would have to play on his off wing. Heaven forbid a sniper has his stick to the center of the ice. And hey, Matt Vague-Ridden's a left-handed right winger, so just move him to the other side. Anyways. Jonathan Huberdeau, we'll have to see what this concussion or head bonk leads to him. Nazem Kadri, pen. Rory Cairns. Did he play his way off the opening night roster tonight? He might have. Much as I don't love saying that. Because, like, I thought he was kind of invisible, and, like, that -3 in 10 minutes TOI is not great. Justin Kirkland, again, I think he gets a lot longer of a leash than a lot of these other guys just because he is a veteran. And hey, we need him for that shootout because goaltenders still don't know how to stop it. It was only stopped by the post last game. Adam Klapka, he's been Ryan Lomberg, but he makes too much, so you're not going to take him out of the lineup. Marty Pospisil. Looks like he might have been hurt, and from what I'm hearing, doesn't sound that great. To the IR, potentially, with him. Igor Sharangovich needs to switch up his pregame meal, but he's in pen. Still a State Arsuniev on the roster, but I know that's not true. And Connor Zary. Tornado doesn't seem to work with Kadri. I understand that. But what? We're going to just keep trying to jam players? Just like that top line, no real passer. That's what I said! Matt Fake Kadri and then Frost plus Coronado. Yeah, no. I don't mind that. Sharky, you need to get into a better thing to do than Lego. I'll see you at F&M, buddy. As I said, Dustin Wolf I saw it up here earlier from Hexenver. Decimals needs to play all 82. I don't think that's feasible in the NHL. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be one of these guys coming off the waiver wire the more and more I look at this roster. I haven't seen Huska's post game, and I won't do that quite yet. Oh, Mackenzie Weegar with the statement of the century in his post game. It was tough. A reminder, Mackenzie Weegar was one of the 2 Flames defensemen coming to this game even. Yeah. Abid, my friend, in chat saying Huberdeau and Kadri didn't work to start with either. Yeah, I agree. So let's go back to those 4 guys. Here will be our overtime question, and I'm going to ask chat. Of the guys that I listed, Mike DiPietro, Nico Dawes, Capo Kakinen, and either Ville Husso or Peter Mrazek, whoever gets that job or doesn't get the job in Anaheim. Are there any of those guys that you kind of put like, I liked part of their games, I could live with that? Because my list goes of those 4 guys, because I'm not going to say that. I don't know when the waiver wire closes on the guy LA sent through today, Copley. I think it's already closed. Because I actually like Phoenix Copley. I think maybe have more meat on that bone. He's also a little younger. I think it goes DiPietro, Kakinen, Dawes, and the 2 Anaheim guys. What do you guys think? I'll sit here for a moment and I'll make mention of this fact again. If you or anyone you know is looking to get into the sports sponsorship space and doesn't want to make a huge commitment but wants to commit to local Canadian talent, Game Over Network is looking for you, especially us here in Calgary. We are doing this as a passion project to connect with fans like you, and I'm sure there are brands that would love to connect on the same level. If you know of any, make sure to head on over to the GameOverNetwork.com and we'll get in touch. So Tokay number 1 and Abid agreeing, no offense, I'd take none of them. I'd rather keep our backups, with Tokay saying keep our backups and go for Gavin. You know, I'm not going to say that I don't want Gavin McKenna as a Calgary Flame. I got to do commentary for Gavin McKenna when he was here as part of that Circle K Classic, or as we all know it, the Max Midget here in town. And I haven't seen many players that are up to that level. But, like, at the same time, like, we're talking about a Flames team that did miss the playoffs by 1 point last year. Of course, they had Dan Vladar last year. Take a sip of water, folks. As a partial Wings fans, you do not want one mildly used Ville Husso. Hey, I'll take a mildly used Ville Husso over whatever we saw today. And hey, like, let's be real. Flames are bad for the next 2 years. Kind of okay with that too. If we don't win the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes, there is another name coming up right after in Maddox Schultz. Hey, anybody who isn't going to be watching the Western Hockey League this year, watch Maddox Schultz. Kid is sick. And of course, he's going to be under that whole new Western Develop model. If you can, go watch whenever he's playing up with the big team in Regina. I know I joked about a lot about that last season. You do not want Husso. The DiPietro's name cursed? Yeah, you might be right. The problem with this team making the playoffs and this team competing are two very different stories. I'd rather keep pros and try to give them some polish. Schultz and DuPont in the same draft. I do believe... No, I'm wrong. Marek Schultz is only 15, so he's 3 years away. Now, we want Landon DuPont. And then Schultz, we'll get him in a random trade. We'll try and stock up picks like Montreal did. Thanks for pointing out that I'm totally wrong. So the people seem to think that we're okay as a fan base to take our lumps. I don't disagree. I called for it last year. As I said, I was strongly on Team Tank. We all know there is one group of people headed by one guy who is never going to be on Team Tank. And I'll wait to see who the first person in chat that can name them is. You guys are all smart. Especially smarter than me after I bonked my head today. By the way, shout out to everyone who is here in chat and participating in what is another long preseason game over Calgary. Where it's just me rambling. Oh, never mind. Denim Man did it in his last comment. I agree with Abid. Better take our lumps now and then build the true contender rather than give Murray Edwards his 2 playoff games a year. Yeah. Murray Edwards doesn't care. Murray Edwards cares about those 2 games of playoff revenue. So I think there is more than likely a little bit of pressure of Craig Conroy rather than polish a cow patty that I think Pro may be. I think Edwards may have the final say and say, go pick up somebody, at least see what they got. But I think that's all I've got for today's contest. We will likely not see Dustin Wolf, I think. I know I said I thought he might get the final start. But how bad these 2 goaltenders is, and hey, could see a waiver claim between now and the game against the Jets. Who knows? I actually heard he was on Elbow Drive the other day, Denim Man, so I can't actually confirm that. Yeah, as I said, that is it for Game Over Calgary today. Hopefully we have a bead in for a little bit happier game Friday, October 3rd. As is the Jets coming to town. Then, of course, opening day, October 8th. The Flames head up to Edmonton to take on the dreaded Edmonton Oilers. And then, remember, Flames open with a back-to-back. Both away from the Dome. Schedule maker, you fucked up. Yes, harsh language. Welcome to my world. For myself, Conrad Krausert, and the rest of the Game Over Network, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We will be back again on Friday. Okay, talking smack. Unite the Hughes. Do the right thing, Vancouver. I don't foresee that happening unless there's a deal with Gary Bettman to make sure that they get Gavin McKenna. But regardless, we got more hockey. We got more cavalry. We got lots of things to be happy for. We move forward here. Game Over Calgary. See you next time, fellows.